Good morning. So nice to have you with me today. I hope you are well. Thursday is January 22nd, and we are taking a step forward today on our health journey. One day at a time, one step toward the mountain, toward the destination that we are looking forward to. Looking forward to and enjoying the process on the journey. Going to dive in today on the process. The answer is a better process. That's where we're going today. We've been going through, weaving together two things, two books. Got The Mountain Is You. We went deep on that yesterday. Overcoming our fear, stepping into the unknown, and loved that. This perspective, helping us to see, okay, the mountain is us, right? The mountain is me. The mountain is you. Trying to get us out of the place of externalizing everything, taking away everything that is blaming something else, saying we're going to take responsibility for this situation, and we are going to take every powerful action in our life that we can take, because that's really the only thing we control. We control ourselves. We don't control other people. And so we bring that control. We say we're feeling out of control. Fear makes us feel out of control. We're going to take control of the things in our life. So I like that perspective. And so we're kind of trying to weave these together. Today, you know how sometimes like a wave, you'll be seeing waves maybe from a boat against some other waves, and they're kind of jostling back, but sometimes they just line right up, and that's what I feel like this is. There's kind of like some waves happening between these thoughts. So here we are in Atomic Habits today. I found this passage that I thought was really interesting to think about in the context of our discussion. Remember, we're trying to walk down a health path. Means we're trying to improve health. It means we're trying to change something about our way of being, developing a more thoughtful way of being in the world. So to do that, got to change something. He says here, if you're having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you. We say, well, that sounds nice. We've been flowing through this space. The mountain is you. So I've just been sitting in this space between these two perspectives. He says the problem isn't you. The problem is your system. Bad habits repeat themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for that change. That's why I said here, the answer is a better process. That's what we're going to do. So I've been just reflecting on this perspective. Okay, we've got the mountain is you, helping us to look internally, reflect on ourselves and our conditions. Why do we make the decisions we do? We're not blaming anyone else or externalizing anything, just in our own mind, in our own life. Now we're reading here, okay, the problem isn't you, the problem is your system. How I've been thinking about this in my mind, to me it feels like steps in a process. The other book is more like a deep emotional reflection that is like really helping us to get into a root level emotional space. And it's kind of like that's almost the first step. And then it's like once we're in that space, once we realize, okay, I'm not looking outside anymore, I'm looking right here at my own life, then from that space, this becomes an even more powerful message, I think. The problem isn't you as some sort of moral failure is saying. It's like you just need a better system, okay? It's like when you're ready to change, when you've done the emotional work, then we dive in here. This is how I'm kind of stacking these together. He says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. I really like that. This is a big thing that I want for us to do here together. Build powerful systems of health. Powerful systems of thought, right? Because a lot of what is distracting us, driving us away from achieving something, it's thoughts, right? And those thoughts might be our own, or they might be put in there by marketing and culture and other things. And so we need a system, that's what we're developing, to identify negative thinking, identify thoughts that aren't in alignment with the direction, the path that we're trying to go. We need a process to do that. I say it would be great. Do you have one? This is kind of like the new thought that I was thinking as I was reading this. Do we have a process for checking our thinking? Maybe you bring that into a journaling process. Maybe that's what the journal really is. A process for checking our thinking. What is the top of mind? What are we doing? What decisions have we been making? And why? And what are the thoughts that are driving those? And are they taking us down the path? Remember in this reading the other day, he was saying not so big on goals, because a goal is just a point in time and it's very specific. It's like we're trying, and he even says it in here, a way of being. We were getting to that space through this totally other process, artistic, creative process. That we're just trying to find a way of being that feels good in a day and is moving toward health. And when you're flowing through that, then a goal just can flow through that. A goal isn't something you're going to bounce off of and head in a different direction. It's just one step on a journey that is getting better. But that doesn't imply that that's just smooth sailing, right? We're in our sailboat. Doesn't imply there'll be no storms, that everything is a straight path. Like, oh, we just set ourselves on a way of being and everything is easy. We never say that, of course. So then this is bringing in something powerful, right? We fall to the level of the system, right? We're going through ebbs and flows. Waves are coming up and down. Have like a day that is really flowing and a day where we're heading back. But how far down are we going on one of these days? Do you have a system to catch you and support you? Focus on the system, he says. He spends a lot of time talking about the word atomic. Why did I choose atomic? It's a tiny change, 1% improvement, he says. But all of the little habits that he says, the atomic habits, the pieces that we put together, should form a larger system, just as atoms build molecules. Atomic habits, building blocks of systems that are supporting us. So this is how I would like to think about every decision. Like I said in one of those shows, did I even say it? Everything matters, you know? Everything is important. This is how we bring awareness and thoughtfulness to everything that we're doing. All of the habits, the routines, the work we put in, like he said in this, I love that analogy, turning up the temperature of the room, or trying to melt the ice is like melt away the body fat, right? We're trying to create the environment where something like that can happen. And each little habit that we're doing across every domain of our life, better mental health practice, the journal, the meditation, the space, the food choices, the movement, the beautiful fasting space that we discuss, all of these things turning up the temperature in the room. He says these habits are like the atoms of our lives, each one a fundamental unit that contributes to our overall improvement. An atom can seem tiny, it can seem insignificant, you can't even see it, but then it's a fundamental, the building block. There's like a great analogy for our fasting process. It's like nothing, at least practically, kind of by definition. But is it a fundamental building block that actually helps us build a health foundation? Puts everything else into balance, brings things in alignment, takes the pressure off. At first, a tiny routine can seem insignificant, but soon builds on each other, fuels bigger wins that multiply to a degree that far outweighs the cost of their initial investment. They're both small and mighty. A regular practice or routine that is not only small and easy to do, but the source of incredible power. This is what I want a fasting process to be. I don't say, that it is easy to do. To say, is it easy to practice fasting? No, not really. In the middle of a consumption culture that is just telling everybody, like, all the cards stacked against us, you say, that's like a trick, that's a challenge. You got to be very thoughtful to do that. So that's like the initial perspective, but then the secondary perspective is like, well, easy compared to what, I like that analogy. You're trying to go to Chicago, but you're driving to Minneapolis. It's like if the course we're on isn't really working, then we can't really say it's easy. Even if we've got the wind at our back, but it's like we're not really going in the right direction here. Sometimes the easiest thing is actually to turn around. You say, well, turning around is hard. We have to admit that we're going in the wrong direction, That's hard. So now we're backtracking. What fasting can help us to do, though, say open up space. That's what we're doing. We're saying the mountain is us. We're just accepting reality how it is. And I'll tell you the goal. So I never say it, it's not easy. But the goal is to make it easy. What we're saying in this space is that by embracing a challenge, by embracing something a little bit different than what the culture says, by putting in an investment that's like a health investment, learning how to practice fasting, that is a health investment. Saying, hey, my body is worth it, I'm worth it. To go through a process of learning and growing, to develop a skill. The skill of fasting is the skill of being able to access body fat energy in the body. Body's storing it for us. It's kind of locked away, unfortunately, we say. Locked away in the body. Body says, maybe we're going to need this 10 years from now. Maybe the famine strikes 10 years from now. We're just going to store that away in specialized storage cells. And then it can just hang out there. We say we don't want that. How do we get in there? We want to break in, Open up a fasting space is sending the cellular triggers to the body saying, hey, we don't have energy coming in around here. We might need to dip into that storage system, Body's like, we can do that. At first it's like, whoa, are you serious? We haven't done that in a while. That's why it can feel difficult. Body not so prepared. That's why I say lean into it gently, dial in. But then we open up that space. And the more we practice it, we lean into it. Body's like, I can do this. I can do it. And it gets easier. This is what I hope you experience over time. It doesn't always happen on a time frame that we want. Remember, we live in this really instant culture. We want instant success, instant things, okay? But like we're saying the answer's a better process. We realize we are a process and we're going through a process. We're growing and developing. Very hard to rush something like that. It's a fasting process to learn, to bring it into our life. It kind of has its own time frame, and sometimes I wonder, some people take to it very easily. Some people very much is a struggle. Sometimes I think either way, it is the path that we are on. Like it's the reality. Like we accept that it's the reality and we have our eyes on the mountain, right? We're trying to climb this path, however it is. And we say, like, is this the path? Is this the way? Does it resonate with the being? Nobody forced into any path. Somebody says, oh, I exercise, is like just resonates more. I have to lean into that one more. It's like I got to really dial in. On any other health path, we can flow between all these states. Flow into that fasting space when it feels right. Just take the pressure off by realizing, hey, this is a skill. I often use an analogy of saying, oh, it's like a violin, because everybody recognizes a violin can be very beautiful, very difficult, takes an investment to learn how to do it. That's just showing people up front, hey, if it's easy, if you can flow into it, of course you do it. But if it's a challenge, I say stick with it, because look, you say, I want to learn to play the violin. Got to put in some significant time with that. Okay to invest. Build it up. That's what Atomic Habits is about. Compounding, right? Building the process, not rushing anything. Giving it the space to let it happen on its own timeline. How are you doing with that process? Are you in a flow with it? How are you feeling about it? Are you feeling in alignment with a process that is taking you in a direction? Let me know. Atomic Habits can be the source of incredible power. So I feel about a fasting process, incredible power in that space. Power to open up the cell, release the energy, use the energy inside of us to power our body and life. And through that process that we're cleansing and healing things in the system, giving the opportunity for the body to run autophagy pathways, clear out toxic stuff. Rejuvenate the system. Fasting, a rejuvenating practice, leading to compound growth. That's Atomic Habits. So I say we want to bring both those mindsets together. Powerful look internally at our emotional space, and then a powerful practice, a powerful system. I was thinking today, do we have think about a system that has an operating manual. Do we have an operating manual? We're saying we're trying to build our template day, right? The day that if we stamped out a bunch of days like that we could just live in that day, and each of those days would be a step toward our better health experience. Doesn't mean every day has to be the same. We have great flexibility in our health practices. One of the big reasons I like bringing all of these health practices together is some days we can be flowing more in one than the other. A fasting-based practice doesn't mean every day has to be an intense fasting experience. Even in people who are doing a more aggressive fasting, sometimes I say, okay, some day of the week, you say, okay, I'm someone who is on a fasting path. I'm on a fasting journey. Doesn't even mean you have to do it every day. Doesn't mean you can't eat 3 meals in a day if you want. It's totally fine. See, we use the power of the system to help things flow into our life. If we're just feeling on a day, I want a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner, I'd never tell anybody not to do it. But on a different day, you might be in a different mindset. You might say, I'm not even really that hungry. And then there's the lowest hanging fruit. I got a video on the, I think at the end of that hunger series, did I even call it the lowest hanging fruit? Don't eat if you're not hungry. If you're trying to lose weight, there's the very lowest hanging fruit. Not hungry, you realize culture would tell us you should eat anyway because you'll be unhealthy if you don't keep constant consumption. But we can see in our process, we're trying to build a better process. You say this societal process not working very well. It's the very base layer of my process. I'm just not going to eat if I'm not hungry, because then it's not hard, in any way. And you just flow through that space. And then you realize the next level, it's hunger is not a warning sign of oh, something bad is going to happen. It's just an experience of the body trying to understand so it can organize our food processing. You start flowing through that process. You realize some days maybe you have like the mindset to just flow through it, and then you can. Don't have to, but can. Some days you can be eating 3 times, some days you can be eating 2 times. Like maybe your processes, we alternate through that. One person says, I want to be more dialed in and just really get in the routine of it. That's what, when you're in the routine of it, helps all the hunger hormones in the body to line up at routine times. That makes it easier to flow through that space. That's the benefit of it, to make it easier, to make it as easy as possible. But it doesn't mean that you have to do it for any other reason. And if you're not struggling with a hunger space with it, then you can be even more flexible with it, because like, I don't need that bonus so much. And then other times you say, I can dial it in 1 meal a day or throw in a full fasting day, It's like really crank that up. That's the range of simple fasting. Up to a day of fasting is what I consider kind of the low end of the spectrum. So what does your process look like? I would say part of the journal could be like, can you write out an operating manual? Can you say, like, here's the 4 domains of health that we're focusing on. The mental health focus, the exercise focus, healthy food focus, and fasting focus. Like, what are the basic operating parameters? What is the process in each of these domains that you're using? Because then we say the answer's a better process. That's what we're going toward. The reading said, like, we fall to the level of our system, right? And so if we're saying, we're not trying to say, oh, I failed, I had something to say, like, I didn't have a system that could handle this, I do like this idea. Build a system, and then part of that process can be like, what are the barriers? This is what we're trying to do. Overcome every obstacle. So we have each of the things on our process. What are the barriers in each domain that are keeping us from moving forward? How do we develop a system to help overcome and flow through that? This is like a base layer to me, just to write it out, put it in the journal, create a separate page, with each thing. What is the current best practices? SOPs. Do you have SOPs in your work? Standard operating procedures? Do you have an SOP for your life, for your health? This sort of space is kind of telling me, yeah, get the SOPs for the life. Then if you're in a day like we're at yesterday, heading into the unknown or facing a difficulty, you're like, I am not sure how to handle this situation. Look at the SOP. What does it say? Hey, difficult day. Here's what we do. We dial in on these things. And then, then you're falling back on it and you lean on the process. I loved what we were saying yesterday, like, tell that drill sergeant to get out. There's no judgment. We're not beating ourselves up on something. No rules, no rigid anything. Building an SOP for your life is not like defining things in some rigid dogmatic structure. It's like just building a safety net, And I'm falling, it's like the rope, it's the belayer. We're trying to climb up the mountain. You don't do it freestyle, Have you ever seen that? I watched a documentary on Netflix about this guy who climbs without ropes, and he climbed up, I don't know, Yosemite something, I don't know. Huge mountain, thousands of feet, no rope, one missed thing, and my family wanted to watch it. I was so stressed out watching it. It's like, this is just terrible. Like, you want the rope, right? You want the safety of just the rope to catch you. All right, so like, let's not try to climb our mountain. The mountain is us, we're saying in our other book. It's like, okay, if we're climbing up a mountain, I like the kind of mountain climbing that is like you're just walking up a trail that 1,000 people have walked, before you. I'm not really the mountain climber that is like climbing straight up the vertical face, That type of mountain climbing is like not really what I'm going for with the vibe of our experience. Something extreme and dangerous and so intense. I'm more like, let's take the gentle path that goes around and gets up there eventually over time. But if we use that analogy, the safety rope on the mountain climber. Yes, good morning. Hello. What do you suggest for an SOP for healthy food and fasting? I love it. Let's go through. So the SOP on fasting, I've described a lot on the channel, like a dial. How do we dial in? There's no one-size-fits-all process for eating or fasting for each person, but there are like general ideas. And so if we took a whole dial of a fasting process, like to me, a simple fasting dial goes from just like 12 hours, which is maybe you say not really fasting, like most people in society have a breakfast, say they eat around 7 or something, and then they finish dinner by 7. You say, well, there's 12 hours that would be pretty standard, and then we call breakfast, fast, breakfast, like it's a 12-hour fast. Now, some people don't get that. Some people adding in the bedtime snack, some people on other schedules, some people getting up and eating in the middle of the night, So these are the things I would say. Maybe there's like earlier parts of the dial saying an SOP is like, I'm just not going to get up overnight and eat in the middle of the night. Like that would be, I would never have someone start any other type of fasting practice. Like if you have that going on, because you're not even getting the basic level of fasting that even our society would just generally accept as like a good thing. And then like energy that is coming in the night, lots of reasons people might do that, dealing with, say, I have reflux and it calms something down. People drink a milk or something, or it's like a stress thing, or it's part of insomnia. Like there's lots of reasons that people would do that. I say like there is like a really key area to focus in. Maybe the SOP is to say, hey, like our process is we're keeping our eating during the day, and we have to solve that issue. So saying, what does an SOP look like for fasting is it might need to be updated here and there. I say we're trying to turn that dial just till we get the results we want, and we never turn it up higher than that into any space that would make us feel overwhelmed. Fasting to me is openness. Fasting is about just finding space for health and healing and rejuvenation in the body. And so always I want people feeling that way. Doesn't mean we can't experience hunger when we're doing it, and hunger can be unpleasant, but also when we start to practice fasting, then we can see hunger as an experience, as an emotion, or as a physical feeling in the body. We can come to peace and acceptance with it, and we can come to see that it is not as bad as we peel off all the layers of society and culture and judgment around eating that we have built up over a lifetime of experience, and we get down into the root level of just, say, my own personal experience in the body. You can start to feel, say, like I see what my body's doing. My body's thinking we're going to be eating here, and now I'm telling it we're not doing it, and body's like, I'm getting that. We can put the stuff back away. Have you gone through that? You've flowed into a space, you've gotten hungry, and then you kind of flow back out of it because you realize it's hormonal. Hormones in the body controlling so much of how we feel about things, coordinating so many processes in the body. So, like if you're saying, I'm on a weight loss path, I'm on a health optimization path, trying to bring down insulin resistance, or just have a practice of giving my body some of this autophagy space. Say if someone doesn't need to lose a lot of weight, is there value in fasting still? Yeah, there can be. I personally do not want to lose any weight anymore. I lost all the weight I ever wanted to lose by dialing in on these fasting processes. It's so helpful. But there's incredible value in a fasting space for like just maintenance of health in the body. And one of these weeks, when I can really get my mind around it, I want to do a talk. I've been reading papers on cancer prevention and fasting, like really fascinating things, where we're activating, natural killer cells. These immune cells are like cancer seek and destroy cells, trying to go and activating DNA repair enzymes in the cells, like so many things. So it's like, I want some of that in my body, I'm like anybody else. I don't want to develop diseases and things. And so a trick is like, okay, you get yourself down to an ideal weight you want. You say, well, I don't do as much fasting as I used to, When you have extra body fat, say like the gas tank is full, you say it's like a big open space where you can use that energy. And when you don't have so much of it, you say, now I bring smaller bits of fasting into my life. And every once in a while, I will do personally a little bit more of an extended fast, just to really do a deep cleaning in the cells. Okay, so your SOP, find where you're at on that structure and say, hey, I'm kind of at a level right now where averaging over time, over 2 weeks, doesn't have to be every day, but like dialing in on 2 meals a day for me right now is feeling really good. This is serving me. And so then if you have that written out, you can always reassess it. So if you flowed through 6 months of space like that and you say, I didn't lose the weight I wanted to, like maybe the SOP, needs to change. Say, I think we need to start throwing in some 1 meal days here if we really want to, push the needle forward. But then if you're having like a stressful week, that I would say, we go through stressful weeks, stressful seasons. You say, hey, I'm not getting through this space, It's like, the fasting isn't happening. The stress is happening. It's knocked me off the path. Love this. Yes, absolutely. Being patient. Ice is preparing to melt. We're going through the process. 28, 29, 30, 31. Keep the mindset positive, right? Keep the thinking positive. Realizing, like things unthawing in the spring, right? Things can unlock. Things can open up. Don't force things. That is absolutely the process. As you're giving the body the space to open up into a bigger fasting space if you want. Look, here's ways. Let's fill out the rest of the SOPs. It's like you sit in a space, you recognizing that fasting has value, being open to it, okay? And then doing it. That's the thing. There's lots of videos out, on the internet, intermittent fasting, different fasting perspectives, okay? But not a lot of spaces. That's what I'm trying to do to actually help us to do it, is where we actually doing the process in a community, seeing other people doing this together, trying to get the mindset in the spot. That's the real idea of this space. How do we actually do it in the long term, to build it into something sustainable that isn't forced, so we don't feel like, oh, I'm punishing myself in some fashion. Yes, this is so good. Then the breathing. So that's like the SOP on the mental health side, right? The journaling, the meditation, the breathing, that's all that sort of space. Bringing down the stress level, the intensity of that. That's having a direct hormonal effect in the body, which is all these things are flowing in together. Fasting, a process I hope I'm showing you on the channel, a way to reduce stress. I only want fasting to reduce stress for people. Less shopping, cooking, dishes, less to do, more time for other things, more time just to open up a space to breathe, get that beautiful oxygen flowing through the cells. Realizing these blood cells that we have. I did that session the other week on a fasting supernova, that the iron that is in our blood cells is formed in a collapsing star and then blown out across the universe. Just incredible. So just realizing all these incredibly powerful things happening in the body. The actual stuff that we're made out of is like stardust. And you see we're like breathing, and that is helping that oxygen to flow to the cells. It's like we can find some super gratitude in that space, right? Just to be in awe of the body, the opportunity that we have here to be alive in this present moment. Just so incredible. See, building a mental health space and practice like that, that's helping to bring our parasympathetic nervous system down. Cope with stress better. Say we can't always bring ourselves out of a stressful situation, but we can flow through it with the breath and with these practices. So maybe you write that out as the SOP. Hey, I've got to carve out, 10 minutes even in my day just to like write out the status report, so that we can stay on track through the midst of it. So an SOP on fasting, kind of what's the base level where we say if we agree with James Clear and his atomic habits that we fall to the level of our system. Okay, a stressful time, we recognize it because we have awareness. What's kind of that base layer of fasting where I say, I want this in my life. I'm going to have at least a couple days of the week in the worst season where it's like I'm at least going to, pick what sounds good to you. I'm at least going to stick with the 2 meals, And then in that season, the SOP, like I've got to find 10 minutes, right? Even before I go to bed, whenever it is, carve out the mental health space. And of course, the sky's the limit. I'm just giving an example. And then like, what's the SOP on the movement practice? Movement doesn't have to be a gym membership. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't need a personal trainer. Like literally just taking a walk is my base layer. And the more I read about it, walking is so underrated. Like, walking probably is the very healthiest thing for a human being to do. It's just so good. I was reading a study someone sent me the other day that I didn't read it in great detail, but like the abstract was suggesting that marathon runners actually slightly worse off cardiovascularly in at least some series than people who don't run to such an extreme level. It was suggesting that in the end stages of a marathon, which I just ran my first marathon, I was dialed in. I was like, oh, that we can, marathon runners, they did a study, they're testing their blood levels at the end of the marathon. They have detectable troponin levels, which is a heart enzyme that we typically measure in people having a heart attack. Saying that people like really taxing the heart so hard on that, and like can that be hard? Like if you're doing that all the time, is it really as good as something more gentle? And they were showing in the same series that certain cardiac markers even better in just walkers. So I was doing a lot of reflection personally on this. I was like, oh, very interesting, So like, the big thing, and there's lots of other studies that I have seen on this, just of walking, that haven't showed this with the marathon runners, but like walkers versus runners compared to people who are sedentary, that like you get at least 80% of the benefit of significant exercise just by walking. It's so good, and you're not going to hurt yourself. And then that can flow into the mental health space too, where it's like just taking a walk is such a great space, clear the thoughts. Taking a walk, an incredible space to help you through a fasting experience. You say if you're struggling with hunger, like just taking a walk, help you burn off the hormones. Like, have you ever experienced this? I always say you got to sit before you can walk. If someone is new to fasting, you say the process of exercising while fasting is the most difficult way to exercise. And so I never have someone start 2 new health practices at the same time. So you want to start getting more active, like it's enough just to do that. Take a few weeks, let the body adjust to that before you start, trying to add fasting on top of it, or do it the other way. You're new to a fasting process, like don't start trying to fast and then go exercise at the same time, especially in the fasting state, because then think what you're doing in the body. You're putting all the demand for all the energy, no Gatorade around anymore, no orange juice or banana or whatever. Got to suck all that energy out of the reserves. And it's like if you're also trying to run every other body system and the body's not used to it, it can be very hard to do that. And then in the worst case scenario, you say, could you get dizzy or lightheaded. Of course, you theoretically could. I've never seen it happen because I try to be mindful, and every time I'm counseling with somebody, it's like, say, be thoughtful. Don't do too much too fast. Do one thing at a time. Lean into it. Okay, but maybe the SOP for the exercise part is say, I just want to be in a walking routine. I say like at least 5 days a week. Can I just get out for 20 minutes? Is that like a base layer that we can fall back on that? Of course, I'm a big exerciser. I exercise at a high level, I think, at least for me, intense. I've been thinking about this more too as I've been reading some of these exercise papers. Also been just trying to take more walks, because it's just so good for the body. I was like, I don't have to be so intense all the time. Good enough to just take a walk, maybe even better. And there's definitely a lot of studies that have shown a lot of gentle movement routinely, throughout the day and the week, better than extreme exercise, just on Saturday, for example, weekend warrior crushing it, but cardiovascular outcomes better in people who are just moving throughout the day, even a little bit. Get a standing desk so you can move around, I'm here in my little office, this desk thing that I'm at, it goes up and down, so when I shut the show off, I put the thing up and I stand up because I don't want to be sitting around, all day. And then while I'm working, I'll just do some squats, I do some kneeling, just different positions. So we're not, just stuck in this rigid space where we're not moving, just to be able to move a little bit in our day. So healthy. So just write that into the SOP. How can I get just gentle movement, for free? That's what I like. Fasting is free. Exercise really should be free. If you have fun going to the gym, it's great to do it. But just if you don't have a big exercise process right now, don't go out and spend a lot of money on it. I say when you can just walk around, when you can just do some simple stuff. Don't feel bad about it. Excellent. You got the book. Really happy to hear it. We've got our joint copies. We read through it. Yeah, dive in. Let me know what you think. If you have specific things that you are finding of value, certainly bring it so we share our thinking about it as we move forward. I'd be juggling all these things together. So I'm just picturing, maybe it helps you, just get it on a page, the SOPs for each thing, the mental health and the exercise, the food choices. Oh, so we didn't really dial in, so much on that. One of the big things that I like about a fasting-based dietary practice, healthy food, fasting, to me, is just two sides of the same coin. Those would be kind of the same SOP, right? But we can kind of split it out. I like the fasting as the base layer because people have so many different dietary perspectives. The amazing thing is that the human body can thrive on an incredibly diverse range of foods. And I don't think there is a specific, also right answer of perfect diet for every single person. Clearly we are all very different. Clearly we have different needs, different goals, and food can support us in different ways. I was thinking I met when I was at UW a college athlete on the rowing team, and he was trying to get onto the Olympic rowing team. And this is one of the most, incredible athletes that I came across. And he's eating almost 7,000 calories a day. He's whatever he was, 19 or whatever. Just an amount of food, and he's just completely lean and just incredibly strong, and I just think just the amount of food, clearly this person, I was oh, well, this person needs a diet that is completely different than someone else. You think someone else is overweight, fairly sedentary, use things the idea that we would take one of the most incredible athletes you've ever seen and then just a more normal average person, you say they clearly don't need the same diet. So we can kind of dispel everybody clearly does not need the same diet, And then within that space, you say, well, what are the exact types of foods? What's the SOP? What should I be eating? Everybody wants like a menu list to just say, is like, I'm going to buy this book. This is, I think, why, diet books are, South Beach sells millions of copies, because people are like, just tell me exactly the thing, When I think the broader thing, and I think that can also take some pressure off, is there isn't a thing, as far as I can tell. Okay, there are hundreds of different diets, and we can describe them all in a spectrum. I did the session the other day that I loved, that was on these new food pyramid guidelines, and which I generally think are pretty good. I generally think they're pretty good. More dairy in them than I would pick for someone who's trying to lose weight. That's the main thing I would say. Dairy, a good weight gainer. If someone is malnourished, underweight, we're trying to bulk somebody up, trying to get a lot of calories in there, I would tell these people, like, some more dairy going to help you to do that, okay? That's what I say. See, there's different foods support different needs. But look, I have seen people thrive on such an incredible range of diets, all the way from people who are practicing like a carnivore diet, which some people would say philosophically they don't like, okay? But I've seen people do quite well. I've seen people get onto something like that who had terrible blood sugar problems. They eliminate every carbohydrate out of their diet. They go through a season, tons of protein. They're active. They build muscle. Blood sugar gets better. People lose weight. It's amazing to me that the human body can do that. Now, I think there's great benefit in having a more diverse diet. You can go all the way to the other end of the spectrum, and I've seen people have incredible health eating a vegan diet and no animal products of any kind. And incredibly, the human body can thrive on that. It's like as far apart as you could possibly get. And then so you can imagine a spectrum between these two extremes, whereas like we have differing levels of protein intake. That's been the biggest argument that people have had about the new HHS guidelines. Some groups say, oh, this is too much protein, and other people say it's not. They argue. And I'm like, look, some people do well on much less protein, and some people eating way more. And I think people might selectively kind of self-select in some manner. Some people might need more than others, and this isn't something that has really been studied. If you think about, at least in as broad a way, think about how things are put out with RDAs, like recommended daily allowances for different nutrients, right? And we have like everybody just gets blanket put 2,000 calories, but clearly some people need 7 and some people probably need 1, you know what I mean? And then everything is like that. How much fat, how much protein, how much carbs, everything gets boiled down to this one uniform, person, and which doesn't hardly really exist, and all the vitamins and minerals are that way too. It's like, oh, did you get this amount of magnesium and things? Like, we are all unique and we have different needs, and the human body can thrive in this space. So when we're trying to write our nutrition SOP, like when I go to the store and I'm buying food, like, what is it? Historically, that's why I haven't given a lot of recipes to people, because you can take any healthy dietary process, and basically all the diets that I'm describing across a spectrum from carnivore through paleo and primal to Mediterranean and, DASH and every other dietary framework. You say, the thing that all of these dietary things have in common is that they strip out processed food. It's the processed food, the synthetic things, the factory created stuff. That's what brings dishealth into the body, because these have not been a part of the human experience. They're not a part of the normal cycle of things. The body really doesn't know how to process this. Fructose, for example, usually is just a component, a small component of fruit. And all of a sudden you have high fructose corn syrup, which is like all the energy is from fructose. The body's like, what do we do with this? Liver's like, I don't know. Like, we start turning it into anything we can turn it into to get it out of the blood and not let it damage things. This is one of the big things, leads to fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, weight gain, all these sorts of things. So it is not normal. So like any dietary practice that feels good to you with recipes that you enjoy, that gets processed foods out of your life, ideally entirely, then take that dietary practice that you like with foods that you love, because then there's bringing joy and meaning to your life. Filter it through the fasting process. You're going to get a diet that works for you in a way that you can stick with and that you like. So that is my best advice. Now, can we give specific recipes? Can we do that? Yeah, I did the one on squash the other day, I love squash, so healthy, especially when you keep the seeds, right? Any questions you have about specific meals and things, I answer them, but I say you pretty much eat anything that you want and like that isn't a processed food. That's my best perspective on choosing healthy food. Stuff you like that it's not like, oh, I'm eating something I don't like because I'm just trying to be healthy. No, you can be healthy eating stuff you like. Sometimes I've had people say like, oh, is cutting out all processed food, isn't that a bit extreme? Is it like, just listen to this perspective, okay? Just think dialing the clock back 200 years, okay? Or even 100 years. If it didn't exist 100 years ago, literally every single human being that's existed then was like 100% did not have any of that. You know what I mean? So it's like dietary perspectives like that only sound extreme, if that's a word that resonates with you, in the context of this culture. This culture is what is extreme. The culture is what is unhealthy. And so much of our thinking has been so warped by what this culture says is normal. This is not a normal experience in the broad scope of the human experience. Also interesting about how we need more CO2 to enable oxygen to get into the cells. Right at this very moment, I'm not 100% dialed in on it. Share more information on it about the process. Are you meaning like in the atmosphere or in our body, or what is it? Is like just part of the exercise process? I have to dial in more on your thinking on it. Okay, those are some good thoughts on the SOPs. Other thoughts do you have? Other questions do you have? We can keep the conversation going. I won't run away right away. Really liked this. Okay, so just to kind of summarize our thinking from this day here so far, the answer is a better process. We look in the mirror. We've done a deep look in the mirror through the mountain is you. We're going to keep doing that and diving through that. And then we say, okay, we're going to stop looking externally for solutions, going to start looking inside, going to work on ourselves. And then James Clear showing us in Atomic Habits, it's not just that we specifically have the problem, but we need just a better process. And so I love how this flowed into that space, developing our own personal SOPs. Appreciate the dialogue on that. I was not thinking in that regard, when I was planning out the discussion. So I want this to be your space, your show. You bring the thoughts. I will help you think of them. We'll have a dialogue together. That's what I love the most about the live. If I just spent my afternoon yesterday and tried to record this as a video myself and then just post it to you today, we couldn't have had this great discussion and come up with this thinking together, writing out the SOPs for each of these areas as we're trying to build a safety net that we fall back on when we are hitting a hard or difficult stretch. This is very common. Remember, a weight loss path, it isn't usually a straight line. Any journey toward better health, it usually looks more like this, kind of coming and going in waves. Like we kind of ride a wave in a direction and then we kind of like have to consolidate the things that we like kind of, and we're trying to get, maybe I should make it go this way, right? If we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to kind of ride these processes in the right direction over time is the way I like about it. So it's like we experience something like that, and then this point, like start going on one of these sort of stretches. Most people kind of panic. They're like, oh my gosh, oh no. It's like, this is where the SOP could really come in handy. It's like, okay, we've kind of had some of this experience. We're working on this. We're turning up that room temperature. Maybe we're seeing other benefits, right? You say some people start fasting. One of the first things people notice, oh, my digestion is better. So like if you're in that zone, you say, you can be pretty miserable if digestion is not good, whether that's just from, bloating or cramping, acid reflux, all kinds of problems. Give the body some space. Like you think about it. When we're eating frequently, the society tells us got to keep consuming things like stomach, the bowels, all the stuff. It can never shut off. It's always working. And that system, I tell you, it works better when it gets some downtime. One of the biggest sites of turnover of cells is actually the lining of the digestive tract. It is damaged. It's doing so much work. It's confronting acids, things that are digesting, literally like the digestive hormones. Think of eating a steak. Steak is just like you, basically, but you'll blow that thing into atomic particles and then absorb it, okay? Just like you see all those chemicals, very dangerous. They can blow a hole in you. That's what an ulcer is, right? Somebody so stressed out, you think of classically getting a stomach ulcer. Well, just look at what that is showing, right? Look about the mental health practices that's doing. You see someone is so stressed out, they're literally burning a hole in their digestive system, right? Because it's that parasympathetic flow, the mental health practices. To positively cope with stress, send out that parasympathetic flow, give space from it, is actually what helps to heal the body. Lining of the digestive tract has to heal every day to handle, just physical food scraping through it, ripping cells off the side of it. Got to always be healing. When it never gets a space to do that, we end up with all kinds of digestive problems. Almost every digestive health problem, digestive problems, is running a primary care office, one of the very most common things that comes in the door. Back pain and then digestive, problems. Almost every digestive problem can get better when you just give it some space so that the body can heal. Absolutely. So a better process. Anyway, a better process. Give the amount of space that we want and flow through that in as gentle a way. Add in these other practices. So good. I think I will leave it at that today. Really nice to have you here with me. Thank you for sharing this space. I wish you a day full of peace and contentment as we are together journeying toward better health. Be well. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.